Today I'm starting with a new video which talks about, or rather, is a very common use case, uh, which about grouping of data or aggregation or pivoting of the data. So in this use case, I would be doing the pivoting for uh, product category and product subcategory, and the value which I would be grouping. So we need to group a numerical value. So I'll be grouping the quantity or order demand. So this is a very common use case, and you can do a grouping both by both by both the axes, uh, and it is quite simple in any analytical tool like Tableau or in Salesforce Analytics. But today I'll be demonstrating it also how we can do it through Python. So let's go to a analytical tool first. I in this example I'm using Salesforce Analytics tool. However, you can use Tableau Analytics or any other analytics like Power BI, uh, and it will result the same. So let me go. All right. So I have let me create a data set. I have already created one data set. This is the sample data set. Yeah. So let me create the grouping. So here I'm choosing the product category, first level of grouping, that's product category. The second level of grouping would be product subcategory, and the data which I'm grouping, I'll be using sum as the aggregation function, and I'll be taking quantity order demand. Yeah. So this is the visualization through which I'm grouping both by subcategory, both by product category and subcategory. And this is the value, that is sum of quantity order. So if I just go to the value table here, it will show all the values which is equivalent to the data set. However, I'll just go to the compare table, and you can see this is what our intended result is. So first grouping is by product category, and second grouping is by product subcategory. So now how we will do it in Python in the real life scenario. So let me go to the Jupyter notebook here, the IDE I'm using for writing the Python code. So the NumPy and Pandas are the basic libraries which I'm using to run the Python code. So let's run it. Let's import the data. I already have the data ready in the file location. So I'm not giving the absolute file path. So let's verify the data what we have imported. So I'm using the head function to see the data. So here is our data. So now we have to work on how to group the data. Okay. So one out of the box function available is pivot table for the data frame. So index is in DF, index is primarily the the row. Here the indexes are 0, 1, 2, which is at the row level. And here, since we want to group the data, uh, something similar to Salesforce, you can imagine the indexes here is the product category. So in the product category, the indexes would be furniture, office supplies, and technology. This is the first level of index. Then there is a second index, which is product subcategory, which is bookcases, chairs, and office furnishing tables. These are the second level of indexes in data frame. So in that way, you can imagine. Let's go back to the ID. So let's say I put uh, two indexes. It would be a list. Okay, and I'll be using another variable called value. This is for another parameter is value. So value is uh, the column name which we wants to aggregate. So here we want to aggregate the quantity or the demand, right? So we will just take this column, and then there is another parameter called ag function. So this is nothing but the aggregate function. As you see earlier in the Salesforce Analytics tool, the aggregation function we used is sum. So we'll use sum. If we have to count the value, then we can use count. So this is the aggregation function. So this whole code, if I run, so it's giving the result. So here it is, the result is. So product category, furniture, office supply. So almost it's the same. Okay. But here there is one important thing here it is missing is this uh, what we want is that consider this under furniture we have subcategories as bookcases, chairs, furnishing, and tables. So we want a subtotal. So this value should get subtotal. Similarly, this value should get subtotal. And then, of course, we need a grand total also. So the grand total would be the sum of all the rows after the group. So how we are going to achieve it? So if I go back to Salesforce Analytics, if I have to do a subtotal, so it's quite easy. We have inbuilt uh, options available here. I do is show subtotal. So it shows the subtotal for each subtotal. So it is taking the first level of grouping and doing a subtotal. And let's say we want to do a grand total, then we'll do a show total. So in this case, it will do a grand total also. So total value, grand total is 673. And for individual segment, uh, it will show the subtotal. So how we are going to do it, how we can able to achieve it in Python? Let's go to the IDE again. Okay. So if we have to do it, so what we have to know, what we have to understand here is we have to group first by product category, and for each product category we have to do a subtotal. So to do that, if we just simply use a parameter called margin equal to true, let's keep it only true, and that is something called margin name, margin name equal to the default value is all. Let's say will as grand total. And that is something wrong. Yeah. So now if you see, it is doing a grand total. So when we do a margin, it will do a grand total. But in this approach, there is a problem, is that uh, we are not able to do the subtotal. So how we are going to achieve it? So the philosophy of achieving it is that we have to consider this particular, this highlighted elements as one data set, as one data frame, and then this one as another data frame, and similarly this one as another data frame, and we have to iterate it. So to do that, what we will do is that we will not directly use the pivot table function with both product category and product subcategory. Rather, we will group it by product category, and then we'll use pivot table based on product subcategory. So let's start writing the code so that it is more comprehensive. So let's group it by product category. Now I will apply the iteration. So apply function, and so these are the records for each product category. For furniture, these are the record. For office supply, these are the record. So I am treating it as one subsection. So we have to do the iteration. So I'll be using lambda function, and our variable would be sub df. Now I'll be using the same logic what we have done it before. Only difference would be the I'll be applying the pivot table on sub df but not on the main df. So let's copy it here and paste it. All right. So now here we have to change, since we have already grouped it by product category, we'll remove product category. We are grouping the value of a quantity, order, demand, and the aggregation function is sum, margin is true. Here the margin name, we can change it to subtotal since we need the subtotal value. Right. Okay, the code looks complete. Let's run it. Okay, there is some error. Product category. Okay. Now we have the result. So you can see for each subtotal, it is giving the value. and then it gives this value. Now we'll work on how to do the grand total. So first, to do the grand total, we basically need the sum of all the records, and we have to group all the values of quantity, order, demand. Okay. So if we and of course in this data frame we have to remove the subtotal, otherwise it will be double counted. So the easiest way to do that is, let's go to the main data frame. Our main data frame, we want just the sum of all the values of the column quantity order. Let's copy paste it. The way we are selecting all the records of that column, and then we are using the sum function. So it will sum all the values of quantity order demand. If I just run it, I will get the total amount is 673. So 673 is our grand total. So how we will append grand total as a value and to this derived data set, to this derived data frame. So to do that, we have to use a lock function of df. So let's do it. First of all, what we have to do is that we have to assign this data frame to a variable. Let's say so df11 is one variable where it saves the output of this code. Now, since you might have paid attention that product category and product subcategory, these are nothing but the indexes in the Panda data frame. And quantity order demand is only one column here in the data frame. So to insert a multi-index data frame in Python Panda, so we have the syntax something like this. Dot log function. So this is the row indicator, and here we have to insert two indexes here, since this multi-indexes has two indexes. So we'll put some value like and total. This is the text we want, total, and then let's say some value like grand total of items. And we have to select all columns. Here in our case, all columns is only quantity order demand. Now we want the value as 673 as the total sum. So what we will do is we'll copy paste here and we'll assign the value. Okay, I have not closed. I think, yeah, this needs to be set. So multi-index needs to be set to be passed in the log function for a multi-index data frame. So let's run and see df11 variable. So now we have subtotals, and then we have grand totals also is 673. So this is our use case. Here we able to achieve both the subtotal and grand total the way we wanted. Uh, the way we made that in Salesforce Analytics. This is the way we can do it in uh, Python. I hope this helped yeah, in a way to understand the concept. And thanks for watching.